Hello and welcome. This is Super Evolution. We get some dialogue which tells us that Ming He was able to live the campus life he always wanted. We then see the great poetic path of the banyan trees, the vast practice field of grass, the lively street for students, and the library of the old school building. Switching over to the introduction of basic superhuman combat class. The professor tells the class that superhumans will possess a few basic abilities, and they should all know that superhumans are divided into 5 different ranks. The 5 ranks are White Dust, which is the lowest, the Blue Spirit, Violet Soul, Red Sovereign, and Black Saint, which is the highest. He then asks the class, what kind of ability does the White Dust rank have? Professor Shang is his name, and he calls out Feng Nierong, who is the same girl that was on the train with Ming He. She answers the question by saying that the physique is different from a normal person, and they could also exceed some athlete limitations if they train hard. The professor says that she is correct and tells the class that athletes that had strength, speed, and precision used to be the limits of the human body. In the superhuman era there and now, most superhumans can surpass athletes because it's the basic ability of the White Dust rank, which is called super physique. Of course, there is different White Dust characteristics, like someone having faster speed or someone having greater strength. He says that the normal standards of their institute is strength, speed, reaction, and real combat, but as long as you could reach at least one of them, you will be good. A student asked the professor about a classmate that got a White Dust rank and has the standard strength and reaction speed, but didn't get a higher rank. Ming He notices the guy's question, and then the professor tells the class that they are about to go into that. Blue Spirit rank is the next one, and everyone at the institute should know that abilities of the Blue Spirit rank. He says that even though they might know it, he will still have to go over it in detail. Not only do the Blue Spirit superhumans have the super physique like White Dust rank, they also have another special power. He asks the class which student can demonstrate the special ability. A girl gets up and raises her hand, saying that she will do it. Her power is glaring light, which is basically darkness. She tells the class to close their eyes, but the professor asked her if she could release a small amount since the class won't be able to see the spirit art. The girl then accepts and tells everyone that she can control the intensity of the light. She then uses her power, which made a bright light. We see Ming He closing his eyes since the light was very bright. The professor tells the class that they don't need to panic since they will recover their sight in a minute or two. Ming He starts to open his eyes, but he could barely see. Professor continues to talk and explains that this girl had an explosive type spirit art. He then explains that the special power could be a key force in a real battle, which can inflict some serious damage on her enemies and maybe cause some unexpected effects. The powers need to be used skillfully and numbly by every Blue Spirit superhuman. He explains that spirit arts are consuming a lot of their physical and mental strength, so even though they have a superior power compared to White Dust ranks, they will still need to cultivate their super physique. A student then asked about the Violet Soul rank. The professor says that the Violet Soul superhumans have all the lower rank powers. The student then says that the number of students that have Violet Soul rank powers at their institute shouldn't be a lot. The professor says that the soul arts are hard to explain in just a few words, and then says that different soul arts require different prerequisites. It's kind of like Ming He's power, which needs to be activated by landing a certain amount of punches on his targets, you know what I mean? He tells the class that other soul arts could be related to their spirit arts, which could be understood as making their spirit art 10 times more stronger. Not too long ago, the professor received a recording of an actual combat during the special admission, which could have a demonstration of a soul art. He's not showing the class the video to prove how powerful the soul arts are and tells everyone to watch closely. He then asks the students near the blinds to shut them and turn off the lights for the class. We then see Ming He, which his face is blurred out since they didn't get permission from him. Ming He thinks to himself that it is good since he didn't want to become famous this early. Some of the students see the soul art that Fan used against Ming He and they are shocked. Someone thought that his soul art is like a mini version of a natural disaster, which is terrifying. Fang starts to think that the person on the recording is similar to Ming He. The professor tells everyone to pay attention to Kai's superpower. He says the Gale Whip and the Wind Python are accumulating the wind element in his surroundings. He explains that Kai's power needs to reach a certain intensity to display his soul art. Ming He then figures out that Kai couldn't use his soul art when he was using his fist to disperse the wind pythons, which means that the chance at defeating him would be greater. The students start to think that Ming He is going to get torn apart by the wind. They all look with shock and ask if the person is even human. They see that Ming He dispersed Kai's soul art with just one punch. Fang then looks at Ming He, but the professor said that the person only used his spirit art. He then tells the class that based on the person's previous combat, they assume that his power could absorb any medium in his surroundings, and the stronger that medium is, the stronger his spirit art will become. A student asked if the violet soul art should be at least 10 times stronger than the spirit arts and questions how was he able to even do that. The professor tells him that there is 2 factors. One of them is the foundation of that student, which Ming He got the highest 3 out of the 4 standards. He tells the class that the white dust rank gives the person a super physique, which they will start training that day after tomorrow. Also, the stable your super physique is, the stronger your spirit art and soul art will be. He says that the superhuman capabilities aren't just measured by the standards such as ranks. He tells the class that if a white dust superhuman trained his super physique to the extreme, they could even be a black saint superhuman. The students start to ask who the person is in the video, and one even says that he could be everyone in their class. A student says that it's just a spirit art, and if he ended up displaying his soul art, he might be able to destroy a small mountain. It's actually crazy because they are just hyping our boy up like to the extreme right now. The professor then closes his laptop and tells the class that after explaining all of that and showing them the video, he believes that all of them understood the purpose of that class. He tells everyone that a person's limit isn't determined by what talent they have, even if it's a white dust rank. As long as they apply it perfectly, it will be good, or else the highest ranked talent can be easily destroyed. The class is now over. We switch to the outside of the buildings and Ming He and Fang are walking. Fang calls out Ming He's name and asked him if he was the person in the video. He says that the video was blurry, so how could she tell if it was him? She tells him that he wasn't a student when they first met, but he was sitting next to her in the class. It would only be possible if he passed the admission exam. Ming He tells her that there was a lot of people who went through the exam. She then remembers when Ming He used his power against the Calamity Demon. He says that a lot of people use fists, including Teacher Yu. We then see Saitama with his shiny head when Ming He said that a lot of people use fists. Then someone talks on the speakers and tells everyone that the astronomy team noticed a small meteor passing through the atmosphere. The trajectory is estimated to go towards Shaoling in Nandu. They tell the villagers of Shaoling to evacuate and the frontline commanders will need to prepare for battle. The rear coordinators need to set up the police cordons and organize the backup team. Fang and Ming He's phone start to buzz at the same time. Fang answers her phone and someone tells her that she was selected as a member of the backup team. She then asks the person if they got instructions for her. We then see Ming He looking at his phone and it's Luo Lin who ended up calling him. She tells him that the Calamity is determined to be a group of demons and it will be more than 10,000 Calamity demons. The front line will deal with them, but as a Dragon Tooth agent, they will need him on standby at all times to handle anything that is unpredictable. He understands and asks her where he needs to go. She tells him that he is just for emergencies and he will be fine as long as he doesn't get hurt in combat. She tells him not to leave Nandu without permission and not to accept another mission for a few days. He then says okay and starts to walk off. Ming He enters a dormitory and he hears someone saying something. The person talking is Shan Yuan and he asked if Li Jin is a member of the rescue team. The person answers back at Shang and tells him to forget it since they are all roommates and the institute made it clear that preparing students will be given preferential treatment. Shang then notices that Ming He is back. Ming He tells them that he arrived a few days late and missed out on some things, and then asks what are preparing students. Wang Jia tells him that the astronomy team should announce it every time a calamity appears, and at the rate things are going, the government, hunters, institutes, and villagers will have to take action soon. He says that when a calamity grade 5 or above lands, they will send out all 4 parties to conduct an investigation and combat preparations. Ming He tells him that he was from a small city, so there wasn't that many calamity occurrences. He tells Ming He that all the calamities in the area managed by Nandu and the Nandu Super Institute is the head of the institutes. He says that becoming a preparing student is a very good thing. Zhang then gets up and asks what is crazy about being a member of the rear combat preparation, and you may not even see the demon shadows. He then boasts about his brother being a main combat personnel which could see the meteor crater and get to fight the demons head on. He calls Li Jin a mere member of the rear combat preparation team, which is only responsible for doing odd jobs for the frontline combat personnels. Wang asked him if his brother is really that powerful. He then said that he heard that the frontline personnel are given special treatment, which is having 1 bedroom and 1 living room at the institute. There is even a butler that will help you with the cleaning and the laundry. Zhang tells them that the luxury apartment complex is the one with the lake view, which is where the frontline personnel lives. Wang then thinks of the place and we see the view of the lake. Okay, just to let you know that I don't really know who is talking in this current moment, like after that part. So yeah, just bear with me. Zhang tells them that when he was walking around there, he saw Nandu's famous goddess head in there. She seems to be a part of the frontline personnel, and it turns out that she also lives there. Ming He starts to question on who is the goddess they are talking about. Wang tells him that even the people outside of the institute knows the 3 goddesses. He then explains that the first one is the ice princess called Tang Ning. The next one is the martial arts saintess called Fang Ling. The third one is the dancing thunder girl called Luo Qian. Ming He questions the titles since they are bold and exaggerative. Wang tells him that the titles were given to them by people from the institute and based it off their superpowers. It was even said that everyone who sees their powers won't think of anything wrong with their titles. Ming He says that it seems he's been riding on Luo Qian's coattail, and then he says that he was her high school classmate. Wang tells Ming He to just call Luo Qian his girlfriend. It's funny how he says that because Luo Qian is his girlfriend, but Ming He doesn't know that she is dating him yet. And it still pisses me off to this day that the fact that he still doesn't know and she still didn't really confirm it with him, you know? Zhang tells him that all the people at the institute address them as wifeys. Ming He says that she really was his classmate. Zhang tells Ming He not to use that reason to deceive the room facing the girls' dormitory building. Wang agrees with Zhang and says that if he knows Luo Qian, why can't he win against the entire girls' dormitory? Ming He gets up and says fine while he walks away to return to his room. We then see Ming He sitting down on his bed while he closes his eyes. He starts to enter the imaginatory space where the goddess resides. He asks the goddess who his opponent is for today. She opens her eyes and tells Ming He that the mutant Dr. Zhao is no longer a suitable opponent for him. She tells him that his contact range of opponents is too narrow, so she can't obtain a lot of data. He would need to come in contact with other kinds of demons, and that is the only way she will be able to create more simulated opponents. Ming He tells her about the demon invasion, and it happens to be a lot of demons at Shaoling. She tells him to go take a look, but he says that he is currently on a standby phase. I really don't know what the point was for telling her that, just because he's already on a standby phase, so you can't go do anything. Like at that point, you're just letting her know, hey, yeah, by the way, there's demons, but I can't go kill them, so my bad. She tells him that he could be an idler and walk around because without any new data and new opponents, there is no point in practicing. He says that after joining the institute, he will need to join a preparation team in order to come in contact with demons. She says that he is also a hunter, so he could take private work and increase his experience. And then she says that he should just wait for the standby phase to end. She tells Ming He that his second dominant power slot has been open, and once he obtains a life drop, he will be able to get a second type superpower. Ming He questions what the goddess just said with a shocked face. He questions if the life drop can allow him to obtain superpowers. She tells him that the life drop could be attained from a leader of the demon lair, or he could buy it if he got lots of money. Ming He tells her that he doesn't have a lot of money. She says that the wealthy rely on technology while the poor rely on mutating. She says that he met the unique her sense of his luck. We then see Spider-Man and the Flash while he tells the goddess about other people being bitten by a spider or getting struck by lightning. Ming He was hit by a big meteorite, but he has to level up one rank at a time, and then asked if she could just give him a full rank gift package. She tells him that those things are all in movies. He says that he is going to idle away anyway, so she might as well spawn in a few opponents for him to fight. She then tells Ming He if he is a maniac and why doesn't he go on dates or enjoy his university life. She asked if he isn't familiar with most of the area since he is new there, and then he agrees. Ming He then looks at his mask and tells her that he wanted to take a look around the campus long ago. We then switch over to the free training grounds and Ming He thinks that he could find opponents to practice with. The goddess calls Ming He a hopeless cultivation maniac. We see Ming He's jacket hanging on a sign that says spirit arts are not allowed and to take care of the grass. Ming He is about to start a duel with another student. The guy tells him that his fists are dangerous, so Ming He needs to be careful. You know, I sometimes feel bad for the people that are going against Ming He, especially when they talk all that smack being like, yeah, you need to be careful since my fists are powerful. Buddy, do not understand that your opponent is the main character. Like, you are gonna get smacked around. Ming He told him to go ahead and the guy starts charging at him. He dodges the attack very easily while also thinking that the guy he's facing can't even compare to those simulated opponents. He thinks of this as his warm-up since he has free time anyway. At the same time, on field 3, we see two students fighting. We see a female fighting a beast-looking type person. The girl throws a kick up to her opponent and we see her jump up to the opponent and kick him back down. The beast-type student asked if the opponent had to be so ruthless while they were sparring. We see that it's the martial arts phoenix girl Fang Lin. She calls out for her next opponent, but when she asks people to come fight her, the people start to run away. She then gets sad that no one wanted to come fight her. She walks over to a guy that is sitting down and tells him that it wasn't really a sweat today. He tells her that with her strength, she is just playing around with weaklings. He asked her if she knows if people call her martial arts phoenix girl. She tells him that it's none of her business that they call her that. When she used to come there, she would be able to warm up, but now she can't even do that anymore. He tells her that she is progressing too fast, and he ended up seeing a guy in field 1 that looks pretty powerful. She then says to forget it since she isn't interested anymore, but then she looks over at Ming He's fight. We see him dodging and then grabbing his opponent's hand while kicking his leg, which makes him trip. The guy looks up with tears in his eye. Fang then changes her mind and then takes off her hoodie. She says that Ming He's martial arts aren't that bad and she thinks that he will only last 2 or 3 minutes. It's crazy because all the people so far have underestimated Ming He, like it's actually baffling. The guy that is with Fang tells her that he thinks that Ming He will last longer since he looked at him for a while. She asks if he doesn't believe her and then decides to make a bet. The bet is if Ming He could last 3 minutes, she will follow his harsh training methods. She comes up to Ming He and tells him that she will have a round with him. Ming He says to come on as they both get into fighting stances. Fang rushes at Ming He, but he didn't expect that speed from her. She sends a kick to his head, but Ming He managed to dodge it. She tells him that he has good reflexes, and then Ming He tells her that she isn't that bad herself. He then throws a punch to her, which pushes her back a little. She thinks that it's very good and then jumps up to throw a kick, but Ming He is already ready to throw a punch. Both of their attacks collide and a person that is watching calls them maniacs while another person asks if they are even human. Ming He's punch is still going and Fang backflips to get some distance. The guy tells her that 3 minutes have passed. We see her foot tingling and then she tells Ming He that he is strong and underestimated him. Ming He also underestimated her as well. She tells him to go again, which then they both do. He is now on the offensive and starts to throw wind punches, but she dodges with her swift shadow. She thinks that she has to distance herself from him to gain the initiative. Ming He sees what she's trying to do, but then activates his second round explosive speed. They continue to clash while the people in the crowd say that they can't see their movements at all, but they comprehend each other's moves. He calls their speed, strength, and reflexes all perfect. We then see the guy with Fang get a phone call. He tells Fang that there is an emergency mission. Both Ming He and Fang then stop while the guy calls out her name. The people in the crowd start to get excited since they're seeing a goddess. She tells Ming He that she has to go, but they should fight next time, and then tells him that she comes here every Wednesday morning. Ming He then says okay. Fang is on the phone and she tells the person that she will be there soon. We then get a name for the guy, which is Uncle Yuan. She asked him to ask for Ming He's name since she couldn't ask because she was in a hurry. He says okay, but then we see Ming He already left. We see Ming He walking as he thinks that random girl he just faced is that fierce, so he needs to work harder. He then asked what the girl name was, but he didn't hear it since there was a lot of people at the field, but it sounded like Fang Li. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed this video.